Hello, I'm Tara Brabazon. I'm the Dean of Graduate Research at Flinders University, and welcome to Vlog 24, How to Finish Your PhD. A doctoral candidature lasts for 3 years, and those 3 years are filled with joy, excitement, happiness, disappointment, and often a lot of self-disgust as well. And if you think about it, there are very few events in our life, things that happen, where so much time is spent for one outcome that emerges at the end of it. So that's why it is a period of stress, of problem, of confusion, of personal and emotional challenges. Now, of course, I'm living this period of emotional challenges at the moment. 5 of my students are completing their PhD in the next 6 months, so I really understand what's going on here. And one of my legendary students, the legendary Mick, hello Mick, asked his supervisor and dean if I would talk about how to finish a PhD, what happens in the final year, what happens in the final 6 months, and how I can make it a little bit easier for Mick and for every single one of you. As always, Mick, that is a truly brilliant suggestion, and it's my great pleasure to deliver on that suggestion today. Now, for our students who have just started, so they're in their first year, I always say, and you'll hear me say it a lot, start with the end in mind. So it's very important, even at the start of your candidature, that you are predicting what the end, what the final year will look like. For our guys and gals in the middle of their candidature, this is a really important time. I want you to start to plan that final year. So use the vlog today to think about, visualize what that final year will be like and how you, yes you, are going to plan for it. And for my wonderful, important, extraordinary men and women who are in their final year of their candidature, this one is for you. And there may be one thing, just one thing, that I say that might help you today, make you feel better, but also might speed up that candidature a little bit. What I want to say to you is you can do this. You have the intellectual ability. The point of being admitted into a doctoral program, the point of a candidature is it shows that you have the intellectual ability. But to finish, you need something else. You need to be resolute. You need to be emotionally and intellectually prepared for an ending. And that is what I hope to deliver to you today. So what I'm going to do very quickly is present 10 quick and clear strategies for you to think about in terms of enabling, supporting, and making your 3rd year of your PhD the best it can be. Are you ready? Let's do it. Tip 1. Planning is everything. I always say start with the end in mind. Start, you got it. But the first 2 years of your candidature must lead inevitably to the 3rd year. What I ask is in those 2 years, you continually think about that 3rd year. You visualize what success looks like. You need to predict and you need to plan. You also have to think about what key challenges may be presented to you. So for example, at the end of the 2nd year, just about all of you will have your data set. I'm aware some of our crew in the biological sciences, you need that 3rd data point, perhaps you need 1 more season. But for most people in most areas of the sciences, almost all of the social sciences and almost all of the humanities, by the end of the 2nd year, you have your data set or you have your theoretical material that you're working with. Yep. So by the end of the 2nd year, you know what has worked well and you know what hasn't worked well. So what I want you to do is assess your data set and go, right, well, this was successful and this hasn't worked too well. But don't be frightened about the weaknesses in your data. Oh no, examiners love weaknesses in the data. We love you relishing in the pain and the challenges that you've had giving us that data set. So the problems in the data are not an issue, but you need to understand the data set and you need to explain the data set. So that's what's required. Remember, also, start of the final year, I want you to diagnose the strengths and the weaknesses of your thesis. Now, this is important. Start of the final year, what is really working well? And that's fantastic. Make sure you know the strengths. But what you need to do in the third year is work on the weaknesses. Start to cut away the most problematic pieces of this thesis. Improve them, lift the standard of the weak area, and all of a sudden your thesis lifts in quality remarkably quickly. Okay, two, be clear in your priorities. One of the reasons that PhD candidatures tend to blow out in terms of time, or students suspend or they intermit, is they start to confuse their priorities. Remember, it's a time of stress, so we tend to not make very good decisions, yeah? Remember, you are writing a PhD. That is your primary responsibility. The only things more important than writing that PhD in your final year are your family and your health. Number 3, that is the PhD. So that means publications, teaching, everything else is secondary to getting that PhD submitted and examined well. Your number 1 priority is to finish the PhD as quickly as you can. And so what I'm trying to suggest to you is in that final year, I want to teach you how to say no. Say no to doing that seminar. Say no to doing that thing on Facebook. Say no. And the no will give you the time to say yes to completing your thesis. Doing a PhD is fine, but finishing it is the achievement. Finishing it is what makes it rare. 3, it's only a PhD. It's not your life's work. Research never ends, so therefore a PhD could actually go on forever. And that's why I often say the best PhD is a small PhD. The best PhD has boundaries around it. Be clear in the determination of those boundaries. Therefore, I want you to have a clear sense of the ending, what the shape of this doctorate looks like. It's not your best research. It's your first research. And the first research project has an ending. 4, bit of a challenging one, but it is important. It's probably the most important, really. Talk about your feelings. This is a really big one, and it's because PhDs are always incredibly isolating. You always feel like you are alone, you're worried, and you're endlessly doubting yourself. I understand that. But it is important that you express your feelings to your supervisors. All of us know it's a terrible year. Remember, this is your 1 PhD. Your supervisors have gone through 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 of these completions. So we understand exactly how tough it is. So express what you are feeling, and the chances are we can come up with solutions to help you. Just about everything we've seen before. So don't suffer in silence. Don't seethe. I want you to express. Let your supervisors help you, and your feelings really do matter. To give you 2 examples that I'm working with at the moment, we've got the wonderful Mick and the wonderful Sonny, who are just about to complete their first draft. In fact, Mick, hi Mick, sent his first draft of his PhD overnight. Congratulations, Mick. Sonny is, I think, about 2 weeks away. We've pushed them both very hard. And there was a period about 2 months ago with both of them where they said to Steve and I, we're getting a bit tired. You know, what am I doing here? So it was all getting a bit chaotic and a bit messy with the pair of them. And Steve and I came up with different strategies for both of them to get them over the line. So we said, now guys, I need you to focus on getting the first draft to us as quickly as possible. Treat it like CrossFit. Give it to us with intensity. So we pushed them to complete the first draft. And now that they have pretty well done that, we have different and bespoke strategies in place for both of them to now ensure that with quality and intelligence, we can move from first to final draft. So for example, in the case of Sonny, the moment she gives us that first draft, we're going to have 2-week patterns, two fortnightly patterns, if you will. And in that fortnight, we're going to do 1 draft of the doctorate each fortnight, and we're also going to produce for her 1 refereed article. So every fortnight has a plan. 1 draft of the thesis, 1 article. With Mick, every fortnight we'll show one draft of the PhD, but also we're going to work on the 2 books that are coming out of his PhD. One an academic book and one a trade book. So again, we have a pattern in place, we have a plan in place. So yes, the thesis gets completed, but also we keep the candidates themselves quite fresh and focused on the future. So the key is get to that first draft, then find ways to freshen yourself to get to the last draft to completion. 5, do a diagnostic on your software, your hardware and your wetware before you commence your final year. We all know days, weeks, months of our lives get wasted sorting out nightmares with endnotes, with footnotes, with, the bullet points, with the last bullet point that doesn't quite go down the line. It is the path to madness, spelling checking, all sorts of stuff like this. It really takes days, weeks, months of our lives. So with a year to go, I want you to do a diagnostic for me. Make sure that you've got all your hardware in place, that your computer is working fine, you have 2 external hard drives, and every day you update your thesis on one and then the other, one and then the other. Important, once a week, send your PhD to yourself via email. These are important hardware and software aims. But finally, I do want you to do a wetware checkup. With 1 year to go, have you got all the information literacy skills you require to get that thesis over the line? And if you have any doubts, go and see a librarian. Librarians are the Jedi Knights of a university. Go and see them. They will bestow knowledge on you. You will learn so much from them, guys. So please use our wonderful librarians and information literacy professionals, and any challenges you might have, they can solve it with a year to go. Important. 6, make sure that you've read your university regulations. Now, when we all start a PhD, it's based on assumptions. We start a PhD based on a vibe, a notion of what a PhD is, and that's okay. But when you complete a PhD and when it's examined, that's based on regulations. So at the start of your final year, I want you to do a Google search for me. I want you to go through the Flinders website or your particular university website for all our friends around the world who watch these. Bless you, big hi. So I want you to have a look clearly at your university regulations and really understand them. So what is the length of the particular thesis in your faculty as required? Are there particular specifications? Are there particular templates required or a structure? How, for example, are you logging publications and ownership of those publications? Very important that that work is done. 7, crucial, do not underestimate the importance of your health. Now, never, ever, ever skip exercise, walking, quality food. Your health really matters. No matter how busy you are, I want you to find 1 hour a day and go for a walk. As most of you know, I do a lot of work on the quantified self, so I'm very interested in movement cultures. Yes, I'm wearing a Fitbit right now. Yes, I have an iWatch right now. They are electronic reminders to me to move, because I want you to remember, when you move your body, you're also able to move through ideas. So keep yourself fit, healthy and well. And by the way, find me on Fitbit. I aim to get to 20,000 steps a day. So come and join me, join my little grouping, and we'll keep you well and fit and healthy, and your brain also well, fit and healthy. 8, important, remember that you have a career. It is important to plan for it. It is important that completing your thesis is an absolute priority, but I understand one of the great barriers that emerge when completing a PhD is you're frightened about what is coming next. The literature shows that, so I really understand that. So it is important to have a plan in place so you have a sense of what will happen next. So take one meeting very early in your 3rd year with your supervisor and start to visualise and plan out the post candidature future. So have a sense about what will happen while the thesis is being examined, and have a sense about all the different career trajectories that may be available to you. The key truth, though, that you must recognise is the foundation of a career is a PhD. An incomplete PhD is not going to help your career, not. But what we need to do is increase your chances so the thesis is completed, but you also have a shape and a texture to what your future will look like. Yeah. 9, build relationships. Wow. It is important in the final year that you do keep connected with your industry, whether it be the higher education industry or other industries that you're interested in working in and with and for. So that might involve sending out emails, keeping up to date on Twitter, keeping your LinkedIn profile up to date. I'm doing another vlog on for you at the moment about employability and employment options, and some of the research I've already found is suggesting that only 30% of the jobs that are available are advertised. I'm going to try and triangulate that data because that seems quite remarkable, but think about that. 30% of the jobs that are available are advertised. So therefore your thesis matters, but so does the development of the relationships around your thesis to get you work. So every day spend some time. Go on Twitter, look at the connections. Go on LinkedIn, look at the connections. And I think perhaps most importantly, guys, tell your mates on Facebook that you're looking for work. This is quite important. We all know 1,000 people, 2,000 people, 3,000 people. They know 3,000 people more. So if you say, look, I'm in the market for a job. This is sort of what I'm interested in. If anybody hears anything, let me know. And the chances are they will. Keep the relationships bubbling. 10. Endings matter. Now, relationships matter, and the relationship with your PhD supervisor really, really matters. So it is important, if you can, that you work to finish that relationship well. If the relationship finishes well, you've got a referee and a mate and a comrade and a friend for the next 30 years. Those sort of relationships really matter. If it goes sour, the problem is you've not only not got a referee for the next 30 years, you've probably got an enemy for the next 30 years who will do you some damage. So be aware of that. Keep it positive. Also remember, a PhD supervisor can't do everything, but they may be able to do something, and thank them for what they can do. Try if you can to not breach the relationship, even at points of stress at the end. So, for all my wonderful students in the final year of their candidature, I am so proud of you. You really matter, and your research really, really matters. We care about you. You are important. But it is important that you also remember, planning is crucial. The completion is crucial. Personal health is crucial, and keep those relationships as strong and as active as you can. So make sure you have a great week. I'd love to hear from you, you guys and gals in the final year. You send me an email anytime. Beck, hi. Send me emails anytime. Love to hear from you. And as always, I wish you love, light, and peace. Tea out.